And a very good evening to you. Welcome to TV47. This is the Daily Report. I am Shiksha Arora. It is the 6th of this month. That is the 3rd month of 2025. March it is. We march on as usual, bringing to you the latest in terms of what's happening, of course, in the country, beyond. And when it comes to all things climate, all things afforestation, all things global warming. Right here, we focus on matters environment, so we'll be bringing to you that later on. The Kenya Defence Forces has actually come up with something very interesting, a way to embrace culture and how exactly culture is being affected by climate change. Well, that's a story that we'll be bringing to you later on. We also have a very interesting human being that we're featuring today on the Green Fix. Her name is Nzambi Mate, and she is the lady who actually turns plastic into building bricks. So if that's something that you're interested in, hang on, because we're going to be bringing to you that and much more right here on the Daily Report. I am Shiksha Arora. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. For now though, let's take a look at the latest in terms of our highlights. Top on the Daily Report. The government has been given until March 21st to settle its payments to the country's faith-based health service providers. Failure to do so will result in patients seeking treatment at their hospitals being required to pay in cash.
40% of entities that are not supported by taxpayers' money not being given their dues. It is unfair.
Also, normalcy returns to the Majengo area of Nairobi today following the tense atmosphere that gripped the region yesterday after the tragic fatal shooting of 17-year-old Ibrahim Ramadan. And tonight, on the Green Fix, we explore the steps the Kenya Defence Forces are taking to mitigate the effects of climate change.
You plant and forget, then we are not going anywhere. But you grow 5,000 trees. That means you must have a relationship with those trees.
Welcome to the Daily Report. This is TV47. I am Shiksha Arora, and our top story on this live broadcast tonight. The government has until March 21st, 2025 to clear outstanding payments to Kenya's faith-based health service providers or patients seeking treatment at these hospitals will have to pay in cash. Meanwhile, the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya, that's RUFA, has officially called off its planned boycott of the Social Health Authority, that's SHA. Our reporter has more details. Her name is Anastasia Mukabi. Let's take a look.
The Kenya faith-based health services providers have issued a 14-day ultimatum demanding payment of outstanding NHIF, SHA and MAKL debts. Failure to settle the debts will result in the suspension of services for beneficiaries under the schemes, forcing them to pay for services in cash.
The church is not in war with government. When you have a critical component of health coverage in the nation, 40% of entities that are not supported by taxpayers' money not being given their dues. It is unfair.
The government is not either willing to pay us for whatever reasons and put on these lengthy, I called it, structured delaying process of endless checking and counter-checking and then stopping and all that.
However, it is a sigh of relief for patients seeking treatment in private hospitals after RUFA lifted the suspension of Social Health Authority-funded services. With the suspension of services under Medical Administrator Kenya Limited will continue due to MAKL's failure to address the concerns raised by the healthcare providers.
RUFA has resolved to lift the suspension of SHA-funded services effective immediately, while continuing to monitor the implementation of these commitments.
Wa MAKL, walimu na polisi tunaendelea na kusitisha huduma kwa sababu MAKL haijaweza kukutana na watu wa huduma za afya na kuweza kujadili mambo muhimu na masuala nyeti ambayo wahuduma wa afya walikuwa wanadai.
This as Bomet Governor Hilary Bechok has assured private hospitals that they are not being sidelined as the government works to resolve issues surrounding the Social Health Authority funding.
Kwa sababu kuna ukora pia ilikuwa imeingia NHIF. False claims ndio ilifanya NHIF ianguke. So we want to ensure that whatever reimbursement that we are making are genuine reimbursement.
Meanwhile, nurses serving under the Universal Health Coverage Program in Western Region held their protest in Vihiga County, calling on the devolved units in the Western Region to address their grievances. Anastasia Kabi, TV47.
And still on matters health, the Ministry of Health is asking for additional funds to sustain the 3 key health programs under the Social Health Authority. But now, as Elizabeth Atieno reports, Health CS Deborah Baraza is under fire after skipping a crucial Senate Health Committee session where she was expected to defend the 2025-2026 budget policy statement.
The Ministry of Health is seeking an additional 6 billion Kenya shillings in the supplementary budget to boost primary healthcare and the emergency chronic and critical illness funds under the Social Health Authority, SHA.
We have a shortfall. You need to support us in adding additional funds.
Appearing before the Parliamentary Health Committee, the PS for Medical Services, Dr. Hari Kimutai, said they need 350 million Kenya shillings to cater for the travel expenses of the 2 principal secretaries as well as the cabinet secretary. They also need 200 million Kenya shillings for training and 142 million Kenya shillings to cater for legal fees for the Social Health Authority.
Technical team was to take the members through the financial implications of taking care of outpatients.
The Ministry of Health has announced that the SHA benefits package will be increased. For example, the coverage for oncology services will be raised from 400,000 Kenya shillings to 550,000 Kenya shillings.
I think the ministry is finalizing on the tariffs and the benefits review committee, and we had agreed that most of the other areas that have been raised by the public will be addressed through that committee.
Despite the government procuring the SHA system at an estimated cost of 104 billion Kenya shillings, the Principal Secretary for Medical Services say they need an additional 340 million Kenya shillings to buy another system as well as cater for the purchase of funds for the community health promoters.
We need to think of how to make sure that those who are in the informal sector contribute continuously.
Meanwhile, Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Baraza failed to appear before the Senate Health Committee, saying she is feeling unwell.
We have just received communication from the officers of the Ministry of Health who are before us here that the CS is unable to attend this session on medical grounds.
We cannot take this nonsense. We are being bashed by Kenyans. And then you people sitting in offices take us for a ride? Are you the people who advise Deborah to run around helplessly like a headless chicken?
The angry senators now want the CS summoned for contempt. The Health Ministry is currently grappling with immense pressure from members of the public who demand for accountability following the Auditor General's report on the 104 billion Kenya shillings SHA system. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Now in other news, the post-mortem for 26-year-old Dennis Muthui, who was shot during a Wednesday morning protest in Majengo, has been postponed to Friday. As Samira Mohammed now reports, Dennis's family is urging the government and investigative agencies to fast-track the inquiries and ensure justice is served.
The tormenting cry of a broken mother. The heart-wrenching wail of a woman shattered by the gruesome murder of her 26-year-old son.
Alifanya makosa gani ndio wawe? Alifanya nini hata nimesikia walikuwa wamejificha? Akatafutwa huko akashikwa. ndio akashutiwa akishikwa. Kwa nini mtoto wangu hauawe namna hiyo?
Dana's family earlier today arrived at the city mortuary to witness the post-mortem exercise of their 26-year-old who succumbed to a gunshot wound on Wednesday morning after being shot on her stomach during an altercation between police officers and Majengo residents following the murder of Ibrahim Ramadan on Tuesday night.
Tukaongea na akaamka asubuhi jana aende kazi Kikomba, anauzanga viatu. Sasa ikifika saa 5 hivi ndio nikapata simu ati Deno ameshutiwa ayuko.
Expressing their agony, members of Dennis' family have blamed police officers for the alleged shooting and death of the father of one.
Tukaingia kwa gari yenye ilikuwa hapo ya mteja mmoja hapo, tukakaa ndani. Tukiwa hapo askari anakuja tena anachungulia. Anasema huyo nimemaliza. Yeye mwenyewe peke yake. Sasa tunashindwa. Sisi ni wanyama ama sisi ni nini? Tunauliwa kama mbuzi.
Dana's family is now calling on the government and relevant investigative agencies to intervene and expedite on the investigations to ensure that justice is served.
So, tunataka haki na kama sisi kama wa Kenya tulindwe, tupewe haki yetu.
These as a section of rights groups has strongly condemned the brutal murder of Dennis Muthoi and the police brutality visited upon residents of Majengo on Wednesday.
And what is very sad is that the leaders in this country, including the cabinet secretary, the president, will do nothing to ensure Dennis and the family get justice. Is this the Kenya that we want to see?
Samira Mohammed for TV47, Nairobi.
Condolences to Dennis's family. Now moving on, calm has returned to Nairobi's Majengo area after a day of tension and protest sparked by the fatal shooting of 17-year-old Ibrahim Ramadan. Eyewitnesses dispute police claims that Ibrahim was involved in drug dealing and are calling for immediate action against the interdicted officer linked to the shooting. Sheila now reports.
Midday prayers at this mosque. However, a cloud of grief and somber mood still hangs around here. For 17-year-old Ibrahim Ramadan, this mosque had always been a place of peace and solace.
Leo kijana siku hiyo alikuwa aliniambia ile frontal kabisa. Mwezi wa Ramadhani tuna swala mbili, ilikuwa swala ya Ishai. Huyo kijana alitoka tujamaliza kabisa. Alitoka ile tusikia ni risasi. Lakini hatukujua kwanza hapo ni yeye.
He was last seen here praying just moments before he was fatally shot on Tuesday, even as the evening prayers were ongoing.
Akitoka tu akifika pale akapigwa risasi. Na yeye alikuwa simu ametoka kuswali.
To them, one thing is for sure. Ibrahim was not a bang dealer, unlike the police reports terming the 17-year-old as the suspect who was in possession of bang.
Acha vile wanavyosema ati ni muuza bangi. Kijana hata bangi hajui na kiti vipi. Yeye ni kijana anamsaidia mamake pale. Ni kijana hana maneno.
Na kisheria pia, je, mtu hata akishikwa na bangi anauliwa? Sisi tumesikia watu wameshikwa na magunia ya bangi. Wameuliwa. Kwa nini wameuliwa?
They continue to fault the police officer who has since been interdicted, insisting that he had demanded for bribes from youth in the area before the shooting incident.
Asifikiri hata anaweza kuhepa juu hiyo. Akiruka ukuta, akija akikimbia hivi, akirusha hizo, huyu kijana akiwa anatoka msikitini, neno sasa picha ziko kwa CCTV. Asifikirie sisi tuko kijinga.
Apeleke kotini ama kama sivyo hivyo aletwe kwa watu hapa hivi. Tumuone ndio huyu na wao pia wasikie vile, asikie vile wengine wanasikia.
Even as business activities and transport resume normally in this particular area, residents say they're still reeling in shock of Tuesday night's events, calling for further action for the interdicted police officer. Sheila Chelangat for TV47 in Nairobi.
All right, moving on now. President William Ruto's promise to cede a total of 3-acre piece of land to Jesus Winner Ministry as the Chief of Defence Forces has sparked mixed reactions amongst Kenyans. Now, this is following a 7-year-long tussle between KDF and the church. In a statement on Thursday, the church said it had paid a total of 450 million shillings to Uchumi Supermarkets through Jewel Complex Limited before a dispute erupted regarding land ownership with Kenya Defence Forces. Mike Kaguongo now has the details.
Jesus Winner Ministry. The church that came under scrutiny after its founder accepted a contribution of 20 million shillings and a further pledge of 100 million shillings from the president, as well as the president's guarantee of a title deed. The plot of land at the center of controversy has been the subject of correspondence between the Ministry of Defense and the church for the past 7 years. During a church service at Jesus Winner Ministry on Sunday, the head of state stretched his generosity to give 20 million shillings towards the church building project, while also promising to end the long-lasting feud between the church and the Ministry of Defense.
Tukipata tutajibu.
In a press briefing Thursday morning, the church leadership led by Secretary General Raphael Mweti defended its ownership of the land, revealing that the long-time ongoing saga began in March 2018 after Jewel Complex Limited expressed interest to buy the piece of land from Uchumi Supermarkets.
And to which it established that the same belonged to Kasarani Mall Limited. That is Uchumi Supermarket.
The private company at the center of the ownership dispute over the 2.8 billion shillings land, Jewel Complex Limited, is majority owned by Bishop Edward Mwai Kiongo, who is also the church leader. Jewel Complex Limited was registered in May 2017 under Edward Mwai Kiongo, who held a 36.36% stake. Paul Gishohi Mutune owned 9.09%, while Agnes Wanjiko Kiongo, Raphael Mweti Thiari and James Kiongo Mwai each held an 18.18% share. According to the church, it learned of the land dispute with the Ministry of Defense when the Kenya Defence Forces declined to allow a government valuer who was assigned to carry out the land valuation access the property.
Government valuers were tasked to perform land valuation, and upon reaching the land, they found the military who denied them access.
This prompted Jewel Complex to make inquiries to the Ministry of Lands, where they were informed that there was already a parliamentary committee tasked with handling the matter.
The parliamentary committee sitting on 12 November 2019 resolved to invite the directors to attend their session. The parliamentary committee resolved that those 3 acres belonged to church.
The church, however, stated that the Ministry of Defense had no dispute with the land as of January 2019. But in a letter seen by TV47, the church asked the Ministry of Defense to allow the chief government valuer go undertake a valuation as part of the process of resolving the dispute. Subsequently, in a letter dated August 20, 2024, the Ministry of Defense responded to Jewel Complex lawyers, acknowledging that there was an overlap of the piece of land in Roysambu. Defense said they had sought guidance from the Ministry of Lands to resolve the overlap, and once the matter was conclusively addressed, they will be in a position to respond accordingly. Meanwhile, the church has cleared the air, arguing that Ruto's donation was only a pledge and has not yet received a coin from the head of state.
Alisema tengenezeni harambee. Umeshika? Tengenezeni harambee, nitatafuta marafiki. Kwa hivyo bando.
In efforts to resolve the matter, President William Ruto Thursday morning met Jesus Winner Ministry Church leadership at the State House led by Bishop Edward Mwai. Mike Kaguongo, TV47, Nairobi.
Meanwhile, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, that's IEBC, says it needs at least 536 million shillings to conduct by-elections in various constituencies and wards, as well as to repair and license KIMS kits. Despite these financial challenges, the Commission remains optimistic that the by-elections can be delivered by October, provided the new IEBC team is in place by June. Meanwhile, the IEBC selection panel has shortlisted 30 37 candidates for the position of chairperson, including some high-profile figures like former Judiciary Registrar Gladys Boss and former IEBC CEO James Oswago. Our senior political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku has more details.
Appearing before the National Assembly Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, IEBC CEO Hussein Marjan Hussein told the committee that the commission requires at least 536 million shillings to cater for different by-elections, voter registration, as well as licensing and repair of the KIMS kits, though MPs raised pertinent questions on the activities by Secretariat ahead of the process.
And you indicated in your remarks that you have done so many things with regard to the limitation of boundaries. Which are these so many things that you have done in respect to the limitation of boundaries? Because the excuse has always been, we don't have commissioners, and therefore we cannot be able to do what we're supposed to do.
Then you're asking for 486. Why will you not remove the balance remaining in that vote? Because it is for voter registration, isn't it, that vote? Then you say that you need 486 less whatever you already have.
I want you to consider allocating the commission 50 million for licenses for KIMS kits maintenance. This is in preparation for the upcoming by-election. Immediately the commission joined.
Marjan and his team further informed the lawmakers that to conduct the 14 elections in the constituencies and wards, they will require at least 450 million shillings. They assured the committee that the elections could be delivered by October this year, provided commission is in place by June.
We have commissioners in place. And when I say ready is, if we have commissioners in office by mid-June 2025, earliest date when we can have those by-elections is when?
Them it will be around 450 million to conduct the by-elections. And this is based on the estimates for the polling stations. Because, like I said, we have already prepared papers. We are only waiting for them to come. These papers have been prepared. Once they come, we present to them. We have got previous experiences in terms of costing for the by-elections.
Meanwhile, the journey to the 2027 polls has commenced as the IEBC selection panel has shortlisted 37 individuals for the chairperson position, comprising of 6 women and 31 men. 3 of the candidates are persons with disabilities.
And we actually have some questions for you.
Former Chief Registrar Ann Amadi, former East African Court of Justice Judge Charles Nyachai, former IEBC CEO James Oswago, Kenya Power Board Chairperson Joy Brenda Mudivo, former Nairobi County Clerk James Ngwele, and lawyer Duncan Ojwang are among the 37 individuals shortlisted for the position of chairperson of the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Oswago has been shortlisted despite being found guilty by the courts for the irregular award of 1.3 billion shillings tender for the supply of voter materials in the 2013 general election. Homa Bay County leads with the highest number of applicants for the chairperson position, followed by Bungoma, Kisii and Trans Nzoia. The Nelson Makanda-led selection panel is expected to complete its mandate within 90 days, as outlined in the Constitution, with the new chairperson and the commission anticipated to be in place by next month.
Thank you for coming.
The delay in reconstitution of IEBC has affected a number of wards as well as constituencies. Now these Kenyans are pegging their hope in the ongoing process to get their representation in the bicameral house. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Palm Buildings, Nairobi.
Now, tonight, members of parliament have lashed out against the officers of the Controller of Budget and Auditor General for being corrupt and acting with impunity. Majority and minority leaders in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah and Junet Mohammed, alleged officials at the Office of the Controller of Budget are taking bribes from governors to approve expenditures. Now, as Apollo Kamau reports, Auditor General Nancy Gathungu was put on the spot for her reports exposing rot in the government.
2 of the country's key independent offices responsible for oversight of public funds, the Auditor General and the Control of Budget, came under fire in Parliament after MPs alleged that the two offices are mired in graft and act with impunity. The Control of Budget Margaret Nyakango was put on the spot after MPs accused her of taking bribes from governors before her office could approve county expenditures.
Ask any governor in this country, they have to go through hell to get their monies approved for use in their counties by the Office of the Control of Budget. And many will tell you, without parting with money, without paying bribes to officers in that office, governors never get justice.
Mr. Speaker, the corruption in the Controller of Budget Office must end. Devolution is suffering. Governors are suffering. Governors are unable to perform. Governors cannot access monies that have been appropriated for them, Mr. Speaker, because of the Office of the Controller of Budget, Mr. Speaker. And it has been the norm. And the Controller of Budget has refused to take any action.
Given the sensitivity of her office, which exposes corruption in both national and county governments, Nyakango, while appearing before the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee of the National Assembly in September last year, expressed fears for her life after her abduction and arrest in December 2023.
We ask you for permission.
Also put on the spot was the Auditor General Nancy Gathungu, whom Parliament castigated for acting with impunity in her audit reports before they are verified by Parliament.
When again people pick sensational issues that are in the Auditor General's report without paying any attention to the responses by the management of the MDAs, Honorable Speaker, then we run the risk of sensationalizing everything about the running of public offices in this country.
Any audit report is a confirmed report before it is audited, before it is brought before the House. Mr. Speaker, that culture will lead to anarchy. That culture will lead to people's names being destroyed, Mr. Speaker, without any recourse.
The attack comes days after the Control of Budget Margaret Nyakango expressed concerns over 1.3 trillion shillings in exchequer withdrawals, which she claimed were made outside the automated system designed for accountability. The National Treasury clarified that no funds have been lost. The MP's reaction also comes days after the Auditor General's report exposed procurement flaws in the Social Health Authority system, leading to the loss of 104.8 billion shillings in her 2023-2024 audit report, drawing sharp criticism from President Ruto and his supporters. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Now, ODM leader Raila Odinga is strengthening his support base ahead of the 2027 elections. Currently on a Meet the People tour, he says his next political move will be revealed very soon. Raila emphasizes that the concerns of ordinary Kenyans will guide his engagements with the government. His tour comes amid speculation that a major cabinet reshuffle is on the horizon. Kirobi now reports.
After engaging with leaders from Wajir County, ODM leader Raila Odinga embarked on a Meet the People tour in Kisii and Narok counties to widely consult with Kenyans about his future political moves. On Thursday, the ODM leader Raila Odinga held a closed-door meeting with grassroots leaders in Kisii County, where several important issues were discussed. Among the topics addressed, Raila listened attentively to concerns affecting Kenyans, including challenges related to the Social Health Authority (SHA), the rising cost of living, and complaints regarding funding at the county assemblies.
The issue of affordable housing, the issues of the markets which are being rolled out, all these have some questions that are required to be dealt with. They generally, I believe that our country is in a crisis, but that this crisis is solvable and that it should be solved.
The visit coming at a time when a cabinet reshuffle is anticipated. Although Kisii County supported Odinga's presidency in the previous elections, he downplayed the prospect of a Matiang'i presidency, referring to those who are likely to join the broader coalition with Martha Karua and other leaders.
You see, you cannot be elected president of Kenya on the basis of the Kisii votes. Kisii. or the Luo votes, or Luhya votes for that matter, or even the Mount Kenya votes. If you want to be elected, you'll be elected by a Kenya general. So that is something that we'll deal with when the actual time comes up.
Raila observed that the country had reached its current state due to neglect and corruption in service delivery, promising to address these issues in the future. In Narok County this evening, Odinga engaged with local leaders and received feedback on the current state of affairs, including concerns about insecurity in the region. Paul Kerobi, TV47.
And with that, let's take a short break. We'll be back in just a moment. And when we return, we'll be talking about matters, gender equality, and of course, the fact that Women's International Day is just around the corner. What does that mean for the leaders, especially political leaders? Well, we'll be telling you about that in just a moment. So don't go too far. Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I. Welcome back to the Daily Report on TV47. Let's continue with this live broadcast and bring to you the next story, where 5 suspects have been charged with the murder of activist Richard Otieno, popularly known as Molo President. After being linked to his killing, they were among 9 individuals who actually were charged on January 18th, 2025. And this is in Elburgon. However, 4 of the suspects were released due to insufficient evidence. Chichi Josephine has more details.
Out of the 9 suspects initially arrested, 5 have now been charged with the murder of activist Richard Otieno, also known as Molo President, after being linked to his death on January 18, 2025 in the Elburgon area of Molo. The 5, Peter Okech, Joseph Kihara, Evans Oseka, Geoffrey Ndungu, and Stephen Machete appeared before Senior Principal Magistrate Kipkirui Kibelion.
All the 3 respondents have been charged in High Court Criminal Case number E011 of 2025. And the 4th respondent here, Geoffrey Ndungu Willie, alias Movado, and Stephen Machete Musodo, who is the 6th respondent, will soon be charged with the offense of murder.
They are accused of conspiring to murder the activists following a police investigation that connected them to the crime. The remaining suspects were released due to insufficient evidence. The 4 other suspects, including Clinton Simanto, Jorem Ngonga, Peter Moniki, and John Ndegwa, were released after investigations failed to establish their involvement in the murder. However, they will be used as prosecution witnesses in the case.
The rest of the respondents, there is no sufficient evidence against them. They shall be treated as prosecution witnesses.
Having been established on conclusion of investigation that there exists no evidence to link them to the offense, the miscellaneous file herein is therefore marked as closed.
The 5 accused were arraigned before High Court Judge Patricia Gishohe, who ordered that they be remanded at Nakuru GK prison and be subjected to mental assessments within the next 7 days.
The accused persons be subjected to mental assessment, which will be done in 7 days from today. In the meantime, they are remanded at Nakuru GK prison.
Chichi Josephine, TV47, Nakuru.
Now, ahead of the International Women's Day that is on Saturday, Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano has reiterated the importance of gender parity in workplaces, emphasizing that gender inclusion is not just a social cause, but an economic necessity. Speaking during the Ring the Bell for Gender Equality initiative, which brings together over 100 stock exchanges worldwide, Miano acknowledged that while more women are joining the workforce, the number of women in management positions remains stagnant. Hibak Said has the details.
The Nairobi Security Exchange, in partnership with the International Finance Corporation, Global Compact Network Kenya and UN Women, participated in the Global Ring the Bell for Gender Equality initiative to mark International Women's Day.
The theme of the 11th Ring the Bell ceremony is a bold call out for action on the rights, equality, and empowerment of all women and girls.
This annual event, joined by over 100 stock exchanges worldwide, aims to encourage the private sector to advance gender equality by adopting the Women's Empowerment Principles.
To thrive in a reliable safeguard against gender-based subjugation is what we need. Companies that embrace gender inclusion and diversity are better placed to navigate through challenges, seizing new opportunities, and remaining agile in the face of fast-changing market forces.
Rebecca Miano, Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, emphasized that gender equality is both a moral and economic necessity, urging the private sector to invest in women for sustainable growth.
Investors are encouraged to prioritize diversity in their corporate structures by implementing gender-friendly workplace policies, developing investment products tailored for women, reporting diversity objectives to shareholders, and increasing the number of women in leadership echelons.
They stressed the importance of dismantling barriers and creating more inclusive leadership and business models to drive gender equality.
Now, savings and credit cooperative societies, SACCOs, are demanding the formation of a dedicated lobby group under the SACCO Societies Regulatory Authority, SASRA, to champion their interests and protect them from regulatory inconsistencies. Now, Dr. Gamaliel Hassan, CEO of Stima SACCO, argues that the existing umbrella body, Cusco, has failed to effectively advocate for SACCOs, leading to liquidity challenges. Stakeholders are now calling for a banking sector-style association similar to the Kenya Bankers Association, that's KBA, to ensure their concerns are now addressed.
We have seen a lot of gaslighting in the last 3
months or so. Of course, there is a lot of reality in terms of what has happened, and we cannot shy away from that. Indeed, there are SACCOs that have lost some of the investment. Going forward is a simple matter for us, and I think we've already advised, and it's a position that is held across the industry, that there will be needs for us to have an advocacy and lobbying body. That's very, very important and very key for us. The banking sector has KBA. The SACCO sector needs an advocacy, and a lobbying body. That's very important for us. And the discussion is now moving forward for them is to see then how do we separate the aspect of investment from this very key aspect of advocacy and lobbying. We need that as a SACCO, all of us.
Our growth was driven by one, membership. We had more members. We had a drive to increase the number of members, and we saw our members increase by 20,000 in the past year. We expect to continue those efforts and to grow the member numbers by another, more or less double that number, by about 40,000 new members this year. And those new members plus existing members, we also expect to have them deposit more, bring more equity into the SACCO, and also to increase their deposit.
And moving on, with the peak tourism season winding down, Kenya's hospitality industry is shifting its focus to domestic tourism to sustain revenue and mitigate off-season losses. Edwin Masivo, Country Director for Global Exhibitions, notes that Kenya's hospitality sector is at a turning point, with increasing local demand driving investments in quality experiences, infrastructure and digital innovations.
Highly required in the industry is about coming up with sustainable ways of ensuring the guest journey from the time they book the hotel in their country to the time they check out of this country is as seamless and as comfortable as possible.
It's going to help our hospitality industries in terms of visibility, in that different hospitality establishment will be able to share the kind of packages that they offer and thus promote visibility for their establishment.
Now, President William Ruto's administration claims to have facilitated the creation of 200,000 foreign jobs since June 2024 as part of efforts to tackle unemployment, which currently affects over 5 million Kenyans. Labour Principal Secretary Shadrach Mwadime, while flagging off 20 young Kenyans departing for Abu Dhabi, emphasized that labour exploitation is not just about job creation, but also an opportunity for technological and economic gains. He reaffirmed the government's commitment to expanding employment opportunities for young people.
We have taken about 200,000 abroad in various markets, and I'm saying so with reference to a period of about a year and a half, 200,000. Our objective is to ensure that we increase the number even to 1 million per year, because the unemployment rate is extremely high. We are told that there are 5 million young people who are out there tammacking without jobs. And so our object is to try as much as we can to access as many opportunities as possible.
For this year, we are targeting around 3,000, but so far we have managed to get 150. So we are still doing more interviews after every slot has gone. So we are keep doing more interviews, yeah.
Sports news brought to you by Maybet.
Bet bila stake. Predict the outcome of 8 pre-selected games and win up to 100,000 shillings. Only at maybet.com.
All right, let's get into matters sports, where Kenyan women's volleyball giants KCB powered past DCI with a dominant 3-1 victory and an intense match at the Nyayo Gymnasium. The Bankers started strong, winning the first set comfortably. However, DCI fought back, securing the second set at 25-22. KCB quickly regained control, crushing their opponents. And this particular match is by Kenya Prisons, and of course they also defeated a much improved KDF side that is 3-0, 25-14, 25-22 and 25-20. I beg your pardon, let me repeat that. Posta Bank secured their 4th win of the season with a commanding 3-0 victory over Young Spikers, 25-6, 25-8 and 25-9, while Kenya Prisons defeated
This game was fine, it was enjoyable. We played against KDF. They have been our opponents for some time, we've been playing against them, but today they have actually improved in their services. They have actually made us struggle with the reception. But today's game was actually nice and we thank God for the win.
Yeah, tunaweza kujaribu juu tulikuwa tunajaribu kuweka watoto at least tuona performance yao, but ukiangalia at least some professional vile tulijaribu kuingia ndani, at least tukamake game yetu ikachange.
It's a good match for us for winning because we are preparing for club championship and we need to put our right foot forward, and I think the players have played well and that's why we have won 3-1 easily.
Here to get the 3 points, it was our target and we have played well. The first set we played very well. The second set we had some lapses at reception. We didn't receive well, but we came back and won that set. The third set was a bit competitive. KDF pushed us, but I'm happy we won 3-0. That is congratulations to my team.
All right, now moving on, the countdown to the highly anticipated WRC Safari Rally is on, with World Rally drivers expected to start arriving, next week for documentation and final preparations. With just days to go, the technical team is gearing up for a relocation to Naivasha next week to put finishing touches on the event's organization. This year's rally is said to be the longest in history, covering a competitive distance of 384 kilometers, promising to push drivers to their limits in what is expected to be the ultimate test of skill and endurance. Team Hyundai has opted to prioritize reliability over outright performance, ensuring they complete the rally cleanly in their quest for victory. Meanwhile, local drivers eager to join the challenge have until tomorrow to submit their entries before the deadline.
Drivers are expected in from Saturday, Sunday, thereabout, because they have Reiki on Monday the 17th and 18th. And then 19th, we have shakedown at Sleeping Warrior Special Economic Zone, which is a 5-kilometer stage. But even before that, we've got what we call a prevent test that runs on Sunday the 16th at Loldia. And this is only for the P2 cars and P3 cars, for them to test for the first time our environment. And that's run like a stage. So people can also go and watch this. This is at the old shakedown stage where we ran shakedown last year.
We are at the tail end of the preparations. So far, so good. Since August, we've been round about the route. We are just doing the final touches. From Monday, we are all relocating to Naivasha in time for the documentation on Sunday, because the drivers will start coming next week. They'll do Reiki Monday, Tuesday next week. And Wednesday, 19th, we have the shakedown at the Special Economic Zone, Sleeping Warrior.
Now, the second phase of the Raila Odinga Stadium construction in Homa Bay is officially underway, with Sports Cabinet Secretary Salim Vuria handing over the site to the contractor, signalling the start of a major upgrade. The stadium's capacity is set to expand from 2,000 to 10,000, marking a significant boost for sports infrastructure in the region. Once completed, the facility is expected to nurture local talent, attract high-profile sporting events, and drive economic growth in Homa Bay County. The project is also racing against time, as it is expected to be fully completed before the Madaraka Day celebrations, ensuring that the county gets a modern sporting facility ready for major events.
We are here to assure the residents of Homa Bay and Kenyans that this stadium will be ready for Madaraka Day celebrations. the work that we are doing here, part of it is going to be compliant to Madaraka, but some of it will be compliant to standard sporting activities. Important thing we have told the contractor is that the people of Homa Bay should also feel that this project is here in Homa Bay by being given priority for all the jobs that the contractor is doing here.
President promised on 27th of December 2024, and he was here with Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and he promised that this stadium is going to be done. And in keeping with his promise, in keeping that promise, today you have seen the minister here and the contractor on site.
Sports news brought to you by Maybet. Bet Bila Stake. Predict the outcome of 8 pre-selected games and win up to 100,000 shillings. Only at maybet.com.
All right, and with that, it's time for us to get into all things environment, and it's time for my favorite segment of tonight's show, and it's known as Green Fix. Embracing culture is a new way to tackle climate change in the country as communities gather to embrace this new reality. Despite climate change affecting cultural products, communities gathered last week to address this issue. On Our World Tonight, Paul Kirubi attended this event that was organized by the Kenya Defence Forces and brings us the latest.
Culture, traditions and beliefs play a major role in mitigating climate change in the country. This is despite climate change causing negative effects on crops used to make arts, which are part of embracing the culture of different communities in the country. This narrative became clear during the Kenya Defence Cultural Day held at the Uhuru Gardens. The event highlighted how indigenous knowledge and traditional practices can contribute to addressing climate change. It also emphasized the importance of integrating cultural heritage with modern strategies to foster resilience and sustainable development, reinforcing cultural identity as a key tool in solving contemporary global issues. Some special arts like this one here are made from plated materials.
The cultural revival is indigenous practices, as often seen the reawakening of pre-colonization habits that modern society would define as sustainable, and as such we look more favorably upon indigenous people as better environmental managers. With the environment now in crisis, it is just as important to protect the world's cultural diversity.
Communities living in lakes and swampy areas sometimes face challenges due to the hot sun, which affects the lives of marine habitats. This impacts their daily fishing routines, making it difficult to obtain marine food. The hot sun also makes it difficult for marine animals to survive. Some communities embrace their culture through seafood.
Climate change is an existential threat to all our global communities and continues to have adverse effects on our livelihoods, resulting into situation of insecurity. So we hope today that the displays that we have prepared for you will be able to help us have a call to action on how to use our various cultures to mitigate climate change.
Culture influences human beings' understanding of the environment and builds a deep relationship with it. People modify the ecosystems around them through cultural practices, values, and worldviews. Cultural factors can either promote or obstruct social inclusion, deliberation, and implementation, making attention to the cultural dimensions of governance and engagement indispensable. Cultural and creative processes enable individuals and communities to explore their histories and sense of identity. Culture plays a significant role in understanding and implementing adaptation actions, whether they are human behavioral changes, institutional or technological adjustments. Communities from 66 countries including Kenya, Ethiopia, India, Malawi, Namibia, Nepal, Nigeria, Rwanda, South Sudan, Zambia and Somalia showcase their spectacular performances as part of embracing culture. For instance, one community from Nigeria believes in having a king who is responsible for handling different issues. Both local and international communities showcase their performances. Speaking during this event, Lieutenant General David Tarus encouraged communities to use culture in mitigating climate change. He also advised the community to support the government in planting 15 billion trees to fulfill President Ruto's 2032 agenda, urging every person to plant at least 30 trees every year. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
And that was a very interesting feature brought to you by Paul Kirobi on how exactly embracing culture can tackle the climate change issues that we are experiencing globally, not just here in Kenya, but the entire world continues to feel the adverse effects of climate change. With that, let's take a short break. We'll come back with our green warrior tonight, who is a very interesting human being. Her name is Nzambi Mate, and she was actually the UN Earth Champion in 2020, as she actually managed to convert plastic to building bricks. If you want to know more, stay right here. Don't go too far. We're coming back with that. Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I. Welcome back to the Green Fix, and tonight we feature our green warrior. Her name is Nzambi Mate. She has been recognized by the United Nations Environmental Program for being a champion, an Earth champion in 2020, as she successfully converted what we call plastics that is known to pollute the earth to building blocks and bricks, of course, and this is used to pave roads, pavements, and all that and much more. So if you want to know a bit about her and how she's created an entire industry from just one idea, and she started off all on her own, and now she has officially employed more than 40 people. So let's take a look at this particular story. It is quite an inspiring one, and of course I hope that you can also do something small in your own right to be able to fix this climatic problem that we have on a day-to-day basis that is known as climate change. Take a look. What if I told you that this paving block for the construction of roads and pavements is actually made from plastic? Don't believe me? Well, tonight's Green Warrior is going to convince you otherwise.
Hi, my name is Nzambi Mate, UNEP's Young Champion of the Earth winner, and this is Jijenga.
I'm still so fascinated, Nzambi, because this is incredible. You're a whole UNEP Young Champion of the Earth.
Yes, Nyambie.
Karibu
kwanza.
Thank you for inviting us. Jijenga is absolutely incredible.
Yes.
I've got to see like a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes, which by the way, we must show you guys. You need to see it, and even me, I need to do some work, you know. Nikoinda.
Yes, industrial area. Anyway, yes, so welcome to Jijenga.
Yes.
I think you know the meaning of Jijenga. We have Sharia to thank for the G, because they said there's so many Jijengas, so we had to be very creative. But anyway, needless to say, we officially started in 2019.
Yes.
And what drove us was, you and I know the plastic, not just plastic, but the waste scenario in Kenya and in Africa.
Absolutely.
And personally, for me, I thought, okay, fine, we might as well come up with the solution that is number one, practical, and then number two, affordable, and number three, it's necessity, like it's a need. Because how we've been dealing with waste and plastic waste, to be specific, it's very ornamental.
Right.
So maybe using to make vases or flower pots, there's nothing wrong with that. But for us to be able to tackle the waste, it has to be channeled to somewhere where it's a necessity. And so what's more needful other than food, shelter, and clothing?
Absolutely.
And so we decided, let's go for shelter. And our entry to the market was pavers, which we used to make roads.
Yeah, we love that. Now, Nzambi, you are someone who has been in this industry for like almost 5 years. Like you said, 2019 is when you started.
Yes.
Take me through the time from when you first started
Actually,
to now.
Okay, actually, we started operations in 2019.
Okay.
But research and development started in 2017.
Oh, wow.
So it took us about 2 years just to get the formula for the product, and then 2 years to get the whole process, because we started in 2017. Once I had the idea, I took a very dumb decision. Quit my job. In my other life, I used to be in oil and gas, in exploration. I quit my job there, and I was like, okay, I want to follow my dream, I want to follow my passion. Moved back to my mom's backyard and then started. It took me 9 months to make the first brick.
9 months?
9.
It took her 9 months, a whole baby.
Yeah, exactly.
To make
like
this.
It's a whole baby. It took me 9 months because it was, I would make it, I'll take to construction like sites, and then the fundis will like, no, change this, have this, and then I'll go back. So every 2 weeks I'll do the back and forth until 9 months I got the one which they were like, okay, fine, there's something here.
This is it.
Yeah, this looks something we can use. I was like, okay, good. Now that I had known how to make one, I was like, how do I make 1,000? Because you can't sell one brick. I was like, okay, fine, you need machines. I went to the internet, and I didn't find that which I wanted. So I was like, okay, fine, if I can't find it,
you'll make it.
Exactly.
You made the machines?
Every single one of it. So I was like, okay, fine, you might as well do it.
What? You built the machines from scratch?
Yes. Did the design, did everything.
And how long did the machines take?
Okay, so I've not done...
Fully completed.
To reach here, it has taken us years, and I went on like version 3.
Okay.
Let me say version 0, which was a prototype machine. It was very clunky. Oh my God, it was so bad.
Yeah.
But he got the job done.
Yeah.
So I made a very small production facility in my mom's backyard, did the prototype, did the testing, then made a few samples, and then I was like, good. I think I can make something out of it. So once I had the design, I had the product, I made what by then I thought was a good business model. Went to every single bank in Kenya, you name it.
And then?
Every single bank I walked in, and every manager said no.
Oh no.
Every single bank, you mentioned it.
And how did you convince someone finally to trust in you?
So,
to have faith in what you want to bring to the market?
So I went to, once the banks said no, of course now I understand why they say no, because it's a very high risk, especially at that stage. I went to hubs. Most hubs said, well, you're still in early stages, you can't do it. So what I did is I applied for an incubation program in the US, went there, and then while I was there, I was able to collaborate with the university. I was studying called Colorado University. So I did my first prototype, got the first project, did a lot of pitching. I remember I pitched to about 72 investors.
72 investors, and they all said no?
Except 2.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It was,
You're really not giving up, huh? You were not giving up.
Trust me, when you get the first 3 no's, by 5 you kind of used to it. By 10, by the time you reach 70, you're used to rejection. So yeah, and literally the 2 were actually the last two. So I was like 70 no's, and then the last 2 are yes. And then when they said yes, I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, are you sure? They're like, yeah, sure, let's try something.
Yeah. Right. So Zambi, so now basically you've got your investment, right?
Yes.
You've got a bunch of money that now you can spend. When you first now decided to make like these many kilos or these many tons of this particular paving block, what happened? Who took a chance on you?
Oh, the early customers.
Yes.
Oh, those are my favorite. So now that we came back, we did the first machinery. I got the first team. I think Kim is somewhere here. So it was me and Kim.
Just 2 of you?
Yes.
And now how many people are you in this team?
Full time we're 23, part time 250.
Wait, 250 people. It just started off with one Zambi and Tim.
Yeah, and Kim.
And then now they ended up having 250 people part-time and 23?
23 on our production. So we have 3 segments. We have pre-processing, processing, and post-processing. Pre-processing is the collection of plastic. This is post-processing. So here we are 23, but in the whole value chain, 250.
Brilliant. So Zambi, tell me, so the first customers, what was the reaction like?
Oh, so the first, like
were they convinced?
Yes. Let me tell you. So the first person who actually paid for it, I'll never forget. It was a contractor, one of my true fan up to today. So he came and he was like, yeah, I've seen your product and I want to take a shot. He himself is a contractor.
Okay.
And so he was trying to pitch this to a project he was doing, but they were a bit skeptical. So he said, okay, fine. Let me do a small project, like a prototype sample. If it works, then you guys take it on board. And you need those people. They're called evangelists. You really need evangelists. So he came and was like, okay, fine. Can you get me, I think it was 3,000 pieces.
Wow.
It took us, right now, 3,000 takes us maybe 2-3 days to make.
Yeah.
Back then, 3,000 pieces took us almost 3 weeks. Just
so
to make.
For 3 weeks, you're making.
Yeah, we were just making just pieces. Like, and then the girl would come and be like, I have deadlines. I'm like, just give us time, and we'll produce. And then eventually he did the sample. They loved it, and then he came back and he's like, okay, fine. Now I need 10,000 pieces. So that was another 2 months.
So you said that it actually takes you 2 to 3 days to make around 3,000 blocks now?
Yeah, we do roughly 5 to 1,000 a day.
5 to 1,000 a day. Amazing. So maybe you can take us through exactly the process of how the blocks are produced.
Sasa, come, let's go.
This is the plastic. This is the waste.
Yes. Hata ukiangalia na ukinusa, hii ni dump site. Hii yote ni takataka hii.
Smells?
Yes. You see, when people smell this, they're like, oh, this is trash. But when I smell this, I'm like, yes. This is it, because this is a problem we want to solve.
And you said it before, we're turning trash into cash.
Yes, exactly.
And also we're solving a huge problem, which is pollution, which is waste management.
Yeah, and also job creation.
And you're also creating jobs, which is brilliant.
Yes.
These are called green jobs.
Yes, they're called green jobs.
I've done my research. Anyway, so as you can see, this is the trash. So this is what is collected from the different waste disposal sites.
Yes.
And has it been sorted?
Yes. So right now we have 3 centers, one inside the dump site, Dandora dump site. We have another in Kibera and we have another in Grogon.
Okay.
So we have 3 sources of plastic. We have what you call the post-industrial.
Yeah.
Post-industrial, we get it from factories. So your packaging industries, these are not much. These are about 10% of the waste. And then you have post-consumer. Now this is what you call post-consumer waste. And then we have what you call the automotive waste. So these are your bumpers, your car bumpers, your car doors, your interiors, your dashboards, those, all that. That's what cumulatively we call post-consumer.
Okay.
So this particular one we get from the dump site, and because as you see we don't have much space here, but we have different centers, so they're collected and sorted there. So every month we process about 100 metric tons.
Whoa.
So if you were to put, if you were to put the 100 metric tons, it will fill this like 2-3 times, this whole corridor.
Amazing.
So we do them in batches.
And then what happens there on that side?
So that end, that's the first step. Come and show you. We'll come this close, but right now they are being serviced. Okay, and the latu. So right now it's been serviced.
Okay.
But what we do here is we crush the plastic into small flakes.
Oh, so they're crushed. The plastic is crushed.
Yes, they are sorted and then further crushed so that they become flakes.
Interesting.
So that's the first step here. So this area, all of it, is what we call pre-processing.
Pre-processing?
Yes.
So the plastic is brought here, and then it's taken there and it's crushed.
Yes, and then here we do like the next level of sorting, because you know there are different types of plastics.
Yes, of course.
So we have to pre-process depending on the type.
Okay, sawa.
Yes.
So now when we go back into the factory, what happens next?
Before we go there, this is also our trash as production trash.
Yes, this they had said it's like defected.
Yes.
It's not like...
these are what you call rejects.
Rejects,
Yes.
yeah.
And the beauty about this is we reprocess again.
Look at that.
So we can reuse this again.
So imagine there's zero waste in this factory.
Yes.
Even the rejects are put back into the machines, and then you try and make now.
It's not we try and make.
You make. I love that.
Yes.
So they actually make from rejects. They decide now, you know what, we're not wasting anything. They put it back in the machine. You mix it back with sand, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And then now you get the blocks again.
Yeah, we don't do much reprocessing because the ratio is already there. We just crush and reprocess.
Amazing.
Yes.
So we go inside?
Yeah. So here, this is the first stage. So these are the flakes. As you can see, this is different colors, but same type.
Yeah.
So this is what we call, we do HDP, PP, LDP. So HDP are like this. You see this? This is HDP.
Oh, so these are the flakes.
Yes, these are the flakes. If you look very well, you'll see your yogurt containers.
Yeah, the bottles, paper.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So we do what you call...
What is this black?
That's like tanks.
Tanks.
Or back easy bottle tops, cups.
Yeah, okay.
So we process 3 types of plastics, HDP, LDP, and PP.
Okay.
So within the recycling industry, this is the least worthless plastic. Like this is a plastic that even the people who recycle to make other plastic products can't use this.
They can't use this.
So ideally speaking, this is what would end up in, like the recyclers will take and then throw it to the landfill. This cannot be used anymore according to them.
So this is what now is your gold.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a gold mine.
Yes, for us this is it, because we want to be able to utilize everything that comes from the value chain. And that is from the waste of other recyclers and also the waste from the environment. So here we mix with sand.
Okay.
And
I saw the sand on that side.
Yes. So we're drying it because you know there's nice sand, so we might as well use the sand too, because we need to remove the moisture.
So you mix this with sand?
Yes.
Okay.
Or waste glass.
Oh, waste glass as well.
Yes. So we can supplement or substitute the sand with waste glass.
Amazing.
Yes.
And then so I was being told earlier, then you put it in this bucket?
Yes, so we put it in, right now we're doing it, we've done it manual, but right now as we speak, we're in the process of designing. Next time you come, we'll have a silo and it will be fully automated to go to there.
So it'll be faster, the process will actually end up being faster?
Yes.
More output?
Yeah, so that's what we're prototyping right now. So in the next few months, we'll come.
Love it.
So we put it here. This is called an extruder.
Yeah.
So as the name suggests, it extrudes. It extrudes meaning removing. So it mixes the plastic and the sand. And if you have color pigments, also add the color pigments there. And then together it forms something like ugali.
So like a mash.
Exactly.
It mashes.
It mashes the sand. So you see this concrete in material science, this we call Portland concrete.
This concrete?
Yes, this is Portland concrete because of the cement element. What you're making here is what you call polymer concrete.
Polymer concrete.
So what that means is you're replacing the cement element, which is a binder, with the plastic,
plastic,
which is a polymer.
Polymer, yes.
Exactly. So, and the beauty about this is using polymer in construction goes as old as time. Because that's why you see the Maasai people, they put grass in their manyatas.
Yes.
It's a polymer. It does the same thing.
And cow dung as well.
Yes.
Make a mixture.
Yes.
Okay, so you put it in there.
Yeah, and then it is.
And
It forms like a sort of ugali.
Yeah.
It's a bit hot, so I'll just use this. It's a bit dry.
Okay.
So this is it's a bit hot, so don't touch.
It's okay,
So depending on so let me give you a bit of history, physics. So in physics, impurities increase the melting point and they lower the boiling point.
Yes.
Now, when you mix plastic and sand together, the plastic acts as an impurity to sand and the sand acts as an impurity to plastic. So the melting point of plastic without sand is almost 120. The melting point of sand without plastic is almost 1,200 to 15,000.
Okay.
So what we do is when you mix this together, it comes to almost 450.
Oh.
So when it comes here, it's between 300 to 400 degrees centigrade. It's super hot.
Super hot,
yes. So the idea is to be able to have the plastic in the right viscosity.
Okay.
So that when we weigh it, so depending on so we can make so many products with this composition. You can make tiles, slats for pigs.
Wow.
We also make slats for pigs, commercial pig farmers to sleep on, or cow farmers, because when they sleep on concrete, the cows get sick. So plastic is a good insulator.
Interesting.
So it's
so it has multiple uses.
Yes, you can. Right now we're doing paver slats. In the agricultural farm, especially for making rose flowers, there's a trough we make for rose farming.
Okay, so now after this, I saw them
we
weighing
weigh
it.
Yeah. So different products have different weights.
Okay.
So that's what we do.
Okay.
The consistency and the homogeneous nature, that one is already covered by the ratio.
So then you come here,
when we
put
weigh,
it here, you weigh?
when you weigh, depending on the product, you come here. Now this is called a hydraulic press,
Yes.
and as the name suggests,
I was watching them actually, and it was pressing, right?
Exactly. As the name suggests, it presses. Now this is called a mold. Right now we have the paver mold, but you can put a tile mold, you can put roofing tiles. We also make roofing tiles. We can make slat mold, depending. All you do is just change the mold. So here it presses about 100 bars of pressure. So the idea is to compress it so tight it becomes dense.
Wow.
And that's among the secret sauce, because our product carries 2 to 7 times the load compared to concrete. And that's because when you compress it, it becomes dense. And it's able to hold more weight.
Okay, so in this, how many blocks are there?
So here, no. So this is the top mold. This is the one.
Oh yeah, how many are there?
2. This mold will hold 8.
8. So at a time you can make 8.
Yes.
And how long does it take?
So the whole process from there up to here, in 3 minutes you make 8 blocks.
Wow. So in 3 minutes you can make 8 blocks.
Yes.
Okay.
So roughly
So now,
1 plus something.
Yeah. So now you've got the block.
Yes.
What do you do with it?
So when the plastic is formed, it is formed into the shape of, in this context, block.
Like a rectangle.
Exactly. So we put it here in the water. This water is a bit hot.
Cooling.
Exactly. Now when it comes there, it's almost 100, 200 degrees centigrade.
It's hot.
So we put it here to cool. If you can touch the water, it's very hot. So
it's become hot because obviously the blocks are hot.
Exactly. But even in construction, this is what's called curing process.
Okay.
In a pour.
Yeah.
Comes
and this
cold.
over here, by the way, is the defective material.
Yes, these are our rejects. Our rejects go back and then we crush them and bring them back. So when they come here, this is what's called overflow.
Okay.
So we now trim them here. We remove.
To one consistent size.
Exactly. So we trim now to form
They look
this.
like this then.
Exactly.
And then this is the perfect one.
Yeah. But now, this is our version 3. So the version 4 that you're making now will be mwah. Because the first version, we wanted to make a proof of concept of the product. Second version was hitting the specs from the Kenya Bureau of Standards. The third version was to get the performance and the specs right. And then now the fourth version will be aesthetics.
So it's going to actually look like a block itself.
Exactly, that's our goal.
Na
To
si
make
jua
it.
kali.
Yani unaangalia unaona hii ni import material. Export material.
Import material.
Yes.
Wow.
So after that, Sasa, this is now ready to go and be used. We have a site I can show you in action. But the moral of the story is, you see from that cooling bath up to here, It's my max like 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
The beauty about this using polymer concrete is you can use it now. So from there to here is like
It's
3
ready to
minutes
use.
you can use. Unlike concrete where you have like almost 24 hours for curing.
Thank you so much for watching. This is TV47 Green Fix, and stay tuned for more solutions in plastic waste.
What a phenomenal lady. Her name is Nzabi Mate. And of course, that particular story has really just inspired me to do my bit. What exactly is that meaning? Well, that means that if it means you go and plant trees, well, I suggest you do just that, because she actually she identified that there's a problem and she decided to tackle it head on. So she knew that plastic pollution is a big issue that we experience in today's society, in the environment, and she wanted to tackle it, and she decided to change plastic to building blocks, and we actually walked on the pavement that was just right next to her factory, and it was brilliant. So currently, as she speaks, she is expanding her business, and we will be seeing soon what exactly the outcome of this means and how much more it will affect the productivity of Majengo. That was Nzabi Mate, the UN Environment Earth Champion of 2020, talking to us, and what an honor, what a lady, what a story. Right, with that, let's get into climate news. And tonight on Climate News, in a bid to curb the recent increase of forest fires in Kenya, Environment CS Aiden Duale on Wednesday afternoon unveiled, among others, 6 drone vehicles and heavy machinery at the Kenya Forestry Service. Now, according to Duale, there have been 231 fire incidents witnessed in the last 3 months, with the fires posing a major setback for the government's push to plant 15 billion trees, that is by 2032.
I also want to take this opportunity to pass my board's gratitude to our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Duale, for his continued support of the forest sector.
In the last few months, we had about 31 fire incidents has been reported. And cumulatively, 1,551,72 hectares of various vegetations were destroyed, were burned down in gazetted forests across the Mau, then in the North Rift, in the coast, Central Highlands, and in the Eastern. And I'm sure you are aware of Isiolo, where we lost huge grazing lands because of fire. This equipment is composed of 6 drones. These light vehicles, firefighters, there are about 12 of them. We have the troop carriers. Now that we have the Rangers, we can deliver our troops to any part of the country to help the community and other multi-agency team to detect and to stop the spread of fire.
All right, now moving on, still on the same, I actually managed to get into the command center and see what exactly happens right there. We got behind the scenes. We also spoke to the gentlemen who are responsible for this particular project when it comes to strategizing and alerting the firefighters on where exactly the fires are taking place in the 3 regions. So let's take a look and see who the men are behind this project that kind of, moves on preventing forest fires and tackles it head on. I'm at the Kenya Forest Service, and this particular area where I'm standing is the command center, and with me I have the team that is in charge of this particular project, which you're going to be getting to know more about. So I'm going to quickly ask them to introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into it. We'll start off with you.
All right, my name is Bill Bunyasi. I'm the network engineer.
My name is Thierry Picard. I'm from Tilium, the project director for that particular project with the Kenya Forest Service.
My name is John Chege. I'm the deputy project director.
So this particular project that we are going to be highlighting is in association and partnership with the French government. So maybe you, Mr. Chege, can tell us more about it. Just in summary, what exactly happens in this room and why we're seeing so many screens behind us.
So this project is funded by the French government, and it's the main purpose is to enhance the capacity and build the capacity of Kenya Forest Service on their ways of managing and combating fire. Forest fires have been one of the major issues that have been devastating our forests, and in collaboration with KFS, we've been able to implement a detection system, which is what you're seeing here on the screens. We're also adding a communication network, plus supplying firefighting vehicles and troop carriers, plus heavy machinery for creating fire breaks and roads.
Right, so maybe, we can get more information about what really happens once you hear that there is some sort of a fire and the alarm picks it up, and of course you're able to detect it on these screens. What is the next course of action? What happens next?
So there is a process of, as soon we have got an alert, there is a process of to start with the firefighters according to the place and where are the resources available. So we have some equipment with the radio systems that are showing where are located the firefighters and the fires. So at the control room of each, what we call FMU, it means fire management unit, they are managing their groups of firefighters, and then they send people for firefighting, of course, the source of the fire.
Okay, wow, very interesting, and we like to see the advancement. You are the network engineer here, and you are also the man who is kind of responsible for managing these screens, if I'm not wrong. Maybe you can tell us more about, how important it is to make sure that these are always up and running for our forests.
Yes, so we have to make sure that they are up and running 24 hours because the main purpose of also the project is being able to detect fire at the earliest stage. So they have to be up and running 24 hours. Just to add on what Thierry has mentioned, once there's a detection, the cameras will also be able to send the coordinates of where the fire is, so that when you're sending the firefighters, they can be able to pinpoint exactly where the early stage of the fire has begun.
Okay, wow.
And to ensure that this system is up and running 24 hours, we have a backup system that can run for 5 days without power from Kenya Power. Wow. And there's a generator system here, so it's like a redundancy system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also for the sites, we implemented solar energy, so it's able to run throughout the year without any problems from, let's say, loss of power.
Right. 5 days without any sunlight. Yeah.
And when there's total darkness, it will run for 5 days comfortably.
Wow, absolutely brilliant. We love to see the advancement. We love to see the fact that technology is being used. And, we are currently, as we know, the world faces a crisis. It's called global warming. And, of course, our forests suffer. And the fact that this is able to try and prevent the fires from getting out of hand, it's brilliant. It's great technology, and we appreciate the efforts of obviously Kenya Forest Service as well as the French government for making this happen. So have you managed to stop a fire in the past, and how was that? How was the reaction time to that particular alert that you got, and how long before the firefighters were actually able to be on location? So maybe you can tell us exactly what happened and how long it took for the firefighters to be there in time to prevent it from getting out of hand.
Okay. An example is we had a fire just close to, in Kiambu, close to, I think, Windsor Golf Club. And we got the alert. We had the rangers out, and they were there within 5-10 minutes max. Wow. And they suppressed the fire within a very short time when they got there. So that was an actual real response using this detection system. And then an example of how the machinery has helped, there was a fire maybe a month or two ago in Isiolo. They used our machinery to go and they were deployed to Isiolo. and the other ones we managed to stop the fire. Yeah, it had raged on for about a week.
For the future, you know, we already have a nice system in place, but maybe you can tell us if there is any more advances that we can expect in the coming years, if there's any more technology that can be deployed to just kind of further enhance what we already have in place.
What we have right now, there's a capability to expand to the entire nation. Wow. The system that we've implemented right now has a capacity to include all ecosystems in Kenya. We're in the process of trying to see if we can extend the system to the western region, plus maybe do a phase 2 that will also be joined onto this.
Right. Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Is there any other closing remarks or anything you would like to say as we wrap up?
To add something very important for that project. So we don't supply only equipment. We also supply training for people. This is the most important thing for the life of the project. we are. It's almost a quarter of the budget, part of for the training. So we are training for the technology, for firefighters, for everything, for the machines, for the trucks, for the vehicles, everything. We are supplying training.
There's a collaboration with a French training school called Varlab. They are training all the firefighters on tactics on how to fight the fires and how to use these vehicles and the easiest way of combating the fires. And we've arranged for them to continue this relationship with KFS on an unending basis. Right. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your efforts, and you know we are very impressed with this technology, the advancements, and of course this system in place. It really looks like it can prevent a lot of damage to our forests in terms of. Oh, is that an alert? Yes. There's one that has just come on while we're talking. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, it's functional, it works. We just heard an alert, and it's good to see that we are actually able to prevent damage to our forests here in the country, thanks to KFS, and of course in collaboration with the French government that has sponsored this equipment, and they've allowed the implementation of this particular system to come and take place here in the Kenya Forest Service headquarters. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much once again for your time, and yeah, we keep wishing you all the very best, so that in future we hope to see more and more changes, and we hope to see technology taking its course in a way that we've never seen here in the country. So thank you once again. Thank you. Right now tonight on Climate News, residents of Achich Beach in Homa Bay town, sub-county, are sounding the alarm over a threat to their very way of life. Illegal sand mining carried out under the cover of darkness is eroding their shoreline, putting their livelihoods at risk. Brian Odhiambo has more.
The once thriving Achich Beach is slowly disappearing, and residents say illegal sand mining is to blame. According to Beach Management Unit Chairperson Eric Otiende, the nighttime activities are causing severe damage to the beach, making it harder to fishermen to dock their boats.
Our beach is being driven out by the sand harvest, which is being done by our area people. They are doing sand harvest, which make our landing site not to be in a good condition.
For many, the beach is more than just a shoreline, it's a lifeline. Lucy Adhiambo, a resident, says the illegal activity is done at night with unknown people and ferried in lorries.
Shida ile tuko nayo kubwa sana ni beach. Wanatoa mchanga usiku, wanaweka nje, malori inakuja inachukua, barabara imeharibika, beach yenyewe pia imeharibika. Hakuna hata mahali vijana wanaweza kuanika ile neti yao. Sasa hiyo ndio shida kubwa tuko nayo sana.
The residents who rely on fishing and other beach-related activities to make a living are now pleading with both the national and the county governments to step in and stop the destruction.
We are requesting for government to help us in conservation, beach conservation.
Tunaomba serikali ili angalie jinsi inavyo wanaweza tusaidia ili hii mambo ya sand harvesting istopishwe.
With their future hanging in the balance, the people of Achich Beach are left hoping for swift action to save their home, their livelihoods and their community's future. Brian Odhiambo, TV47, Homa Bay.
Now, if you thought it's only in Kenya where this heat is unbearable, listen to this. Metro Manila and surrounding areas in Philippines are grappling with an intense heat wave, prompting authorities to suspend classes in Quezon City as temperatures reach dangerous levels. Now, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, PAGASA, has recorded a heat index of up to 46 degrees Celsius, posing serious risks of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. The extreme temperatures have also taken a toll on workers as they describe it as unbearable. As the Philippines enters its dry season, authorities have urged residents to stay hydrated, limit outdoor exposure, and take precautions to avoid heat-related illnesses. All right, and that brings us to the end of tonight's very comprehensive bulletin, of course, prepared by the able team right here at TV47. I am Shiksha Arora. The sign language interpreter tonight has been Rhoda Nyamai. And of course, speaking of incredible, well, the Star newspaper is where all things incredible happen. Now, tomorrow, of course, we have the top stories and the headlines right here, as of course we tell you the latest. So the available headlines tomorrow, as you can see on this particular screen right here. Yet another handshake. Ruto 50%, Raila 50%. The two are set to sign coalition agreement today. Now, this is tomorrow's newspaper. We are giving you the first look right here on TV47. That is the top stories tomorrow. On the other hand, you can see Be the Heart That Heals, a woman's fight for widows' dignity, welfare. And that is from a young age. Jackie Odhiambo understood the struggles of widowhood. When she's just 11 years old, she lost her father. And in the years that followed, 3 remarkable women who actually raised her. Now, the reason why this story is very important is because on Saturday is International Women's Day. So this is yet just another story to highlight the strength of a woman. And lastly, engineer turns love for farming of dragon fruit into great riches. And that is Anthony Mugabe, who is an engineer by profession. And he is famously known as the king of dragon farming in Meru County. And of course, the Star met up with him to highlight how his story from dragon fruit into great riches bore fruit and how his life has changed, all thanks to dragon fruit. Not forgetting Jackie Odhiambo, who received the Zuri Award for Public Service. Right there at the top, you can see Siasa is Kalonzo, the man to beat Ruto in 2027 election. That's all things politics. And of course, in news, Amadi Nyachai among big names eyeing the IEBC chair position. That's on page 8. So as you know, it's fresh, independent, and different. I'm talking about the Weekend Star. So you'll get to hear more about it tomorrow right here on TV47. And of course, that is the Morning Cafe show with Fred Indimuli. That's it from me, Shiksha Arora. I'll see you tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in because I'm going to be moving on from this news attire to a very casual look. Tomorrow night, make sure you tune in. It's a date, 10 p.m. onwards. It's called Tribe 47, the dopest entertainment show in the 254. Make sure you catch me then. And yes, good night from the entire TV47 team. I'll see you tomorrow.